In this example video, I'm going to show you how to sketch the graph of a line given different forms of the line. So before watching this video, make sure you read through the text and you're familiar with the different forms of lines. And by forms, I mean the different equations that you can use to write a line. So I'm starting with this example. We're going to sketch the graph of x plus 2y equals 5. This is written in general form. So with this example, what I'm going to do is actually identify 2 points on this line, plot those 2 points, and then connect the dots. So what I'm going to do is actually find 2 points on the line. And I could really look for any 2 points, but I'm going to look for the intercepts because oddly enough, the intercepts are really easy to find using the equation. So the x-intercept, if you remember from a previous video, can be found by substituting in y equals 0 into the equation and then solving for x. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to replace y with 0, and that tells me that x is 5. So the x-intercept is 5. I do something extremely similar to find the y-intercept. I will replace x with 0 and solve for, oops, I'm on autopilot, solve for y. Okay, so in this equation here, I'm going to replace x with 0 and solve for y. So 2y equals 5, divide both sides by 2, y is 5/2. Okay, so now that tells me that the points 5, 0, x then y, and the point 0, 5/2, both these points are on the graph of this line. So what I'm going to do is sketch a coordinate system, and we're going to plot these 2 points and then connect the dots with a nice straight line to graph this equation. So we need the point 5, 0 and the point 5/2, 0, 5/2, and 5/2 is 2.5. So 1, 2.5, and 5, 0 down here. So all I need to do is connect these 2 coordinates with a straight line. I'm going to turn my paper sideways. And we have just sketched out x plus 2y equals 5 right here, this beautiful line. Okay, so like I said, you could find any 2 points on this graph. I just think that the intercepts are so easy to find because when you substitute in 0, it eliminates a term very nicely for you. Okay, so we have 2 other forms that we're going to look at. So in this next example, let's sketch the graph of y equals 2x plus 3. And this equation right here is in what form? What? I can't hear you. Scream louder. Just kidding. Okay. This form is y-intercept form, or slope-intercept form. I've heard it called both things. Okay, so here's what I like about the second name. The second name tells you that the slope and the intercept are the 2 things that are easily identifiable in this equation. What I like about the first name is that it tells you what kind of intercept that is, right? So in y equals mx plus b, which is your slope-intercept form, M is your slope and B is your y-intercept. So in this example, the slope is positive 2, that coefficient on x, and the y-intercept is a positive 3, which means this graph is really easy to produce. In order to sketch the graph of a line, you either need 2 points or 1 point and the slope. So I'm going to draw a coordinate system here. And we need the y-intercept to be at 3 right here. And the slope is 2. So I'm going to put some tick marks here and extend this up. Okay, so the slope is 2, or in other words, 2 over 1. Rise over run. So I'm going to rise 2 units, 1, 2, and over 1. And there's 2 points, so I connect the dots and extend them as much as you can within your coordinate system, right? It's not just a line segment from here to here, it's an entire line. So right there, we just graphed y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, so there's one more form that we can consider, and that's if your equation is in this form right here. So this form is called point slope form, and for good reason. It's called this form because it's easy to identify, 1 point on the graph and the slope of that line. So point slope form in its most general form is written as such, where x1, y1 are the coordinates of the point and m is the slope. So in our equation right here, the slope m is positive 1/2, and the point x1, y1 has coordinates -3, 2. Okay, I really want to point out that this is minus the x coordinate. Up here I have plus. So as a side note, x plus 3 is the same as x minus -3. Hence the x coordinate being negative. And it's y minus the y coordinate, so the y coordinate is 2. Okay, so I have a point and I have the slope, so I'm all ready to sketch my graph. So I need to plot the point -3, 2. Right here. And the slope is 1/2. Again, that's rise over run. So I'm going to go up 1 and over 2. I have 2 points. I can connect them with a straight line. And again, you want to extend that line within your graph here. It is not just a line segment from here to there. It is an entire line. So here we've graphed the equation. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 times x plus 3. Good. So you should be able to take the equation of a line and draw the graph. You should also be able to go the other way by identifying points and slope, etc. But you should be able to do that with all 3 different types of equations.